everyone, it's Alana and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some series that I want to finish in 2020. We are also quickly joined by Evie, who wants tickles and pats and cuddles, but I have to film, so sorry, but I can't really do that for you right now. So if you hear a little jingle, that's Evie's collar. She'll be just cruising around behind the scenes. Also, another side note, it is so hot in Australia right now, at least in the part of the country that I live in, and I'm just sweating everywhere. So I'm gonna try and be as quick as possible because it's too hot. It's too hot for this. So basically, I am using this video as a tool to hold myself accountable at the end of the year to see if I did actually finish these series. I have 8 series to talk about, and in no particular order, let's just jump straight in. So I'm going to start off with the first series that I really want to finish, and it is also the most challenging because I think I have about 6 books left in it, and that is the Realm of the Elderling series by Robin Hobb. I talk about these books a lot on my channel. That's because they are amazing, high fantasy, political, intrigue, just everything. They are great, but they do take a little while to get through. So as of filming this video, I have finished 12 books in the series so far, and I still have a complete trilogy to go, as well as finishing off the quartet that I'm in at the moment and some standalone stories. So we got a long way to go. If you haven't heard of this amazing multiverse created by Robin Hobb, the first book that kicks the whole storyline off is called Assassin's Apprentice, and in this one we follow a young boy called Fitz as he grows and matures, and basically his journey through the court and political system that is in Buckkeep Town and his position within that space. Officially, he is a bastard of the royal family, and a lot of stuff happens. There's 2 different magical factions, and there's just a lot. A lot happens. The plots are great, and even though I found the first book to be a bit slow, it really does do a good job of setting up for the future events. The second trilogy in this multiverse is my favorite, and I love it so much. Like, the Live Ship Traders, amazing. So yeah, that's the first series that I really want to finish in 2020. Let me just go ahead and put all the books I need to read down here for you. There are a few. I'm quite afraid, but I think I can do it because they're just that readable. Also, it doesn't help that most of them are over the 700-page mark, but hey, it's fine. Everything's fine. The second series that I want to talk about is the second most challenging, and that is the Tudor Court novels by Philippa Gregory. If you don't know already, the Tudor Court novels basically follow the timeline of King Henry VIII and all his wives, and it even goes a bit beyond his timeline and also a bit before. So there's a lot of books in this series. I know that part of it is like the Cousins War series, and then it goes into the Tudor Courts. I'm just putting them all together, and because I put them all together, I still have about 5 novels to go until I've finished that whole timeline. So these books are historical fiction, and I love them so much. Philippa Gregory really knows how to write historical fiction. She is amazing at her job, and I just love that we get insights into the women of the time, because the history accounts and the history books and all of that are skewed towards like the male point of view, whereas with historical fiction, it allows the author to go back and delve deeper and see what was actually going on. So these are great. If you love historical fiction and you haven't yet picked up something by Philippa Gregory, do it. This is also that part where I admit that I've actually been reading this series out of order. I started off with The Taming of the Queen, which is actually about King Henry VIII's 6th wife. So I started towards 3/4 of the way through there, but because it's based on history, you sort of know the rough skeleton of the events, and it was interesting, and now I'm going back through and reading them however I want, but I'm trying to do some of it in order. I don't know, it's a mess. It's fine. So again, I will put the ones that I need to read down here. The last book that I've read in this series has been The White Queen, which is about Elizabeth Woodville, who is Edward's queen before King Henry VIII and all of that. So I'm really keen to read the follow-up book of that and also the book before that. Again, I think I'm getting into the Cousins War part of the series there, but super duper keen. Next up, I have the Three Dark Crowns series by Kendare Blake, and I have read the first 3 books of this, so I only have 5 Dark Fates. So I don't have as many books to read in this one. I think I have the last one and also the novella. Now, this series and I have some history. When you read the blurb, you think, wow, that sounds amazing, that sounds like everything. Me personally, I'm like, that's everything that I want to read. It had elemental magic, it had like naturalist magic. There was this whole plot where sisters have to kill each other to become the queen, and it sounded cutthroat and amazing. But the first book was not all that. It was a letdown, and I know some people struggle with this series, and I understand why. There's potential, but it's not really fulfilling, and but I persisted. And gradually the series has gotten better as I've been reading it. So I'm very keen to get to these 2 books left in it. I have 5 Dark Fates, I think, and Queens of Fenburn. I love family history and all of that, so I think I'll really enjoy this novella. But yeah, this series took a little bit for me to get into. But now I really want to see how it all ends. Also, is it morbid of me to say that I hope someone dies? I just like the drama in my fantasy. We all know that. The 4th series on this list is actually a duology, and that is the Warcross duology by Marie Lu. I've read the first book, I need to read the last book. I read Warcross in 2019 and I really loved it. I've heard some mixed reviews about it, but basically for me, it was a more updated version of Ready Player One, and the world building was just done so well that I could visualize literally everything it was saying. There's one part where the main character, Emika Chen, is walking down like the streets of Tokyo, and she sees pictures holographically projected onto walls and stuff, and it's all colourful. And I was closing my eyes and visualizing that, and it was amazing. Unfortunately, when I did purchase Wildcard, I purchased the hardcover, but it didn't match my other hardcover, so I had to sell that one, and now I just need to get the correct edition to match because I'm that picky bitch. But when that arrives, I'll be able to finish duology. I think it is very reasonable to say that I will finish this duology in 2020. So I just have this one to go. I'm also keen to check out some of Marie Lu's other series. I have Legend on my shelves at the moment too, so I'm excited for that. But do I start that before I finish or even started Wildcard? Probably shouldn't. We'll see how we go. I'm a mood reader. I can't help it. Moving on, I have the Everless series by Sarah Holland. Is it a series? Is it a duology? I'm not sure. But the good news is that the book Evermore that I need to read, I actually have a physical copy of, which I have right here. It's beautiful. These end papers are stunning. And again, I had to get the edition to match the first one that I have. Speaking of which, Everless, which is the first book, is a fantasy in a world where time is currency. Basically, if you've seen the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake in it and Amanda Seyfried, it's like that, but in a book and more of a fantasy setting rather than like a sci-fi one. I'm sweating that much that my microphone slipped off. So we follow a girl called Juliet. It's been so long since I read the first book, but a girl that used to live in the palace but doesn't anymore for reasons, and her journey back there. I'm gonna have to do a reread, but I just remember really liking the book even though I had heard mixed reviews about it, so I'm very keen to pick up the sequel when I have a chance. It's on my shelves. There's really nothing stopping me. The second to last series that I will be talking about is one that's moved into the saga stage, and that is of course the Red Rising saga by Pierce Brown. Is that what it's called? I can never remember, but I still have to read Dark Age, which is the second book in the second trilogy. It's the 5th book overall, and I'm waiting for it to come out in that smaller B format so that I don't have to buy it twice. I want all my books in the series to be the same height, so we're waiting for that. Hopefully it comes out soon. If you haven't heard of Red Rising, what have you been doing? I have no idea. But no, Red Rising is a Roman-inspired sci-fi story set on Mars with a color cast system, and basically gold is the highest color that you can be and red is the lowest. And the Reds have been led to believe that they are trying to work hard to colonize Mars so that others can come and live on the planet. They aren't aware that that's already happened and that they've been slaves for like the past 200 years. It's a revenge story. It's very graphic. It is so good and so full on, and It's amazing. One of my favorite science fiction stories out there, so I'm very, very keen to get to Dark Age. Somehow, Pierce Brown always finds a way to just stab you right in the heart, and you just keep on asking for more. It's fine. Oops, I lied. There's still 2 more series, but real quick, the second to last one now is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I have the last book in this trilogy to go. I think it's called Always and Forever Lara Jean. I know what you're thinking. Alana, you don't read contemporary. What the hell? But every now and again, I just need that little contemporary cookie to break up all the fantasy that I read. And look, these aren't the best books out there, but they are a bit of a guilty pleasure, very easy to read, can be entertaining. And the first book I was like, I think I actually prefer the movie better because the movie's super cute. I loved it so much. But then the second book, which I think is a bit of an unpopular opinion, I actually think I enjoyed it a little bit more than the first one. So I want to... It's happened again. Just hang on. Okay, so I'm very keen to see what my thoughts are on the third book. Basically, I'm just reading it to see who she ends up with. It's probably going to be the person that she ended up with in book 1, but I don't know. Or maybe it will just completely surprise me, but guilty pleasure read, come at me in 2020. Thanks. Okay, so now we're on the last series that I want to talk about, and that is the An Amber in the Ashes quartet. Is there 4? Is she writing the 4th? I'm not really sure. The first book, An Ember in the Ashes, is another Roman-inspired story, fantasy setting, where we've got a slave girl on one hand and a soldier of the Empire, and basically how their paths collide, and the role of fate, and a whole bunch of stuff chucked in there. There's the school type setting, there's a weird love square, which I'm still like about, but look, I need to know what happens. There are things peppered throughout this first book where I was like, am I just gonna read the series to find out those answers? Probably. So there's that. So in this series, I have 3 books to go, I think. I think she's still writing the last book though, so probably 3. I don't know. This is one of the hard ones where the series is still ongoing, but I think I have A Torch Against the Night and whatever the third one's called, it's here, and the 4th one. I have no idea, but it baited me to read the rest of the series, so now I have to fulfill that wish. And there you have it. Those are 8 series that I want to complete in 2020. I think that this is sort of doable because, I mean, we've still got like 11 months left of the year to go, and I read a lot of books anyway, so it's just about staying on track and actually picking up those books. I'm going to stop talking now because I am a sweaty mess, but thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!